Okie dokie. Good morning, everybody. It is, I don't know, let's see, Monday, May 8th, 2017. And we are about to get started with our stream for the day. Sorry about that. Been a long day, long weekend, long everything. So, to jump right in, like normal, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will do my best to try to help out with the questions as I can. If not, we'll be working on the project of the day, which is still the MMO stuff. I did have a question from somebody on the forums, so I thought I would work on that. So that's what I'm working on this morning. In the meantime, the question was, is it possible? Well, this was a comment on the rotating movement actor component. And his question was, is it possible to make 10 to 20 spheres rotate with random speed and direction around one big sphere, whatever, and also make each of them have sine movement up, down along the local z-axis? So that was his question. I'm sure it's possible. I don't know how. That's what I'm kind of working on now. So hello, everybody. And 8-Shot, yep, everything's doing good. Just had to take a day off. Not a big deal. I was just tired from this morning. So what I'm working on so far is doing that. What I have is basically a sphere that is a child that controls rotating around a fixed object. That fixed object is our main sphere. And let's mute the in-game audio. Let's shut those off. I don't know why those things keep turning themselves back on. And of course, it's the editor settings. I miss that half the time. Miscellaneous editor sounds. There we go. Okay, so that one's done. So we'll knock this one out. Let's see. Guess I'll have to catch the upload. Was going to ask real quick, is there any way to get a data table to read CSV file Boolean values without having true false? Like I want to replace the text in Google Sheets with a check for true and blank for false, but couldn't figure it out. I don't believe so, unless you have a way for the CSV file to write that stuff out. I mean, you can put in check boxes, but I don't think they export out as anything proper. I don't know. I've never used anything other than pure text inside of a CSV. I can look into it and see if maybe there is an answer to that. Let's see, Google Docs checkbox. I've never used I've never used anything. How to insert a checkbox. Create a form. Yeah, I think it's just, yeah, see the problem is it's not gonna export as what UE4 is expecting. That's your biggest issue. I doubt it's gonna work unless there's a way to export it out. Let's see, docs checkbox CSV. Missing, yeah, no one ever does that, basically, pretty much. I mean, the only thing else I could think of is kind of what we do in one of the places I work at. You could have a, here, let's open up Edge. Here, this is the only thought. This is something we do for another business. You can have your spreadsheet like you have it here. And you could have your true false for your checkbox, for example. And okay, I know this is probably not going to be quite what you want or expected, but you know, you have your data columns here, so like name, age, whatever. And this is, you know, alive, and this is your checkbox right here, which is expecting true or false. And then next to it, you could have your alive checkbox column. And this is where you put the checkbox. I have no friggin' clue how you do it, but this is where your checkbox is. And all you have this column do is check using, the formula or whatever, if this is checked or not. And if it's checked, then it prints the word true or false here based on if it's checked or not checked. And then when you export, you can just select the stuff you want when you export and tell it to, basically it only exports what you have selected. And that's an option I could think of. So you basically this is a data column that gets filled in based on if it's checked or not. So that way people can check things or not. But you're going to have, you might have a separation depending on how far away these things might be. If that makes any sort of sense. It's an option. We do that for some of the stuff I do because we do formulas and calculations. So we check whether or not something has data in it and then repopulate somewhere else for our calculations. That's my only thought, to be honest. That's my quickest, easiest, only thought. Yeah, that might work too. I think it'll export a hidden column, or you could hide it maybe, if needed. Yeah, no, there was a good thought. Do you know what it exports out as? You'd have to edit the data table importer is what it is. It's what you'd have to edit so it to expect a non-true false 0 1 as true. Because I don't know what it would export to see the checkbox out as. I'm assuming nothing helpful. I don't know. Apparently, I just started up a video on accident, so that wasn't planned. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Let's see if we can work on this one then. We are going to need to go back to our children. So let's find our children. Right now we have our actor location for our pivot exposed. So we're going to need to expose our rotation rate. So let's give ourselves a new variable. This will be our rotator rotation rate. Expose this one because we're going to set it when it gets created. There we go. Let's go back to here. Now we have a rotation rate, and we can do a random. Can we do a random rotator? We can do a random rotator. Huh. We probably want. What does a random rotator get us? I've never used a random rotator before. Let's find out. I'm hoping it gives us a 0 to 1, maybe? I'm hoping. Let's find out what a random rotator gives us. 165, 194, 230. Yeah, it's gonna give. Well, it's gonna give us a heck. What the heck? No roll? Oh, roll is actually a checkbox option. Interesting. I mean, that's technically. It's technically random. Okay, so let's see what happens if we do this. Yeah, see, I'm not getting my exact desired result, which I still have not figured out why. I'll have to figure this out in a second. See, it spawns, it sets the, darn it. I don't know why I can't get this rotation working properly. I don't think it's the local space. You know, you figured this would be a lot simpler than it is. But it's friggin' math that is driving my head crazy. need that anymore. Technically, we don't need that. Okay, so see, that's going to spawn every single time properly like that. We don't have an issue with that. Maybe I don't need the Z roll. Maybe that's our issue. Anyways, we're trying to just basically fake some planets. But the problem is... we are not getting what we expect to happen here. Because it's throwing it off every single time. That is just really stupid. Okay, let's do this manually. Maybe I can figure this out manually. So here's our child sphere. Our child sphere is going to spawn at 250 units off of our main unit. And we want to rotate properly around the axis of the item, which means it's probably only ever going to be... so I'm going up Z. Okay, I think that's where my issue's coming from. I think my brain is being a dum-dum here. Isn't it? Why are we not working like we're supposed to? Oh, because I am setting it later in the begin play is why. Okay, so let's fix these in here. Okay, here, let's... I think I know what it is. Yeah. I think it's the fact that I can't rotate around a non-funky direction. Okay, will we please start work? Okay, I literally broke it. How the hell did I broke this? Spawn comes in, sets the translation, sets the rotation rate. That's pretty cool. I literally broke this somehow. It literally was just working. Now it's literally not working. Huh. Well, colored me confused. Okay, let's see. This gives us our proper translation, which is what we're expecting. And then our rotation rate should be set on spawn, which is right here. What the hell did I do wrong? Okay, seriously, we've already started off the day breaking things. This is not a good start. Damn it. Okay. Okay, why is our sphere no longer rotating? Okay, why is the not rotating properly around the Z all of a sudden? Because not the Z I want to rotate it around. Okay, so that's me being a dum-dum there. This is going to require more math than I was hoping, unfortunately. Darn it. So we don't... whoa, leak moly. That was not what I meant to do. So we do want to roll around the X and the Y. So if I did 180 and 100 and... oh, and if I have my rotate... okay, now I think we're understanding English here. And if we gave it any other sort of a... let's see... yeah, okay. Oh, I remember this now. Yeah, no, Z would be rotate. See, I might have gotten your email, Raphael. I'll have to check in a little bit. No, I know what I'm trying to do here. I understand it in terms of physically what I'm supposed to do here. But this requires math, and math is not my strong point. And I'm trying to set this up generically where it'll work without any issues. And that's where my problem is going to come from. And I always I've got to remember, I've got to relax and figure this one out. Okay. This is basically how much it rotates upon that axis is what counts here. So for example, if this was 360 and 360, we're going to get a complete, yeah, see, it's going to be totally messed up. That's what we'd expect for our Y. One full rotation along the Y. Not a problem. This should rotate it above it. See, that's not giving me my expected result. Well, technically that's giving me my actually no, that one's giving me my expected result. Never mind, that one's fine. The problem is when we combine the X and the Y, we end up with it being completely somewhere else. So what is the proper way of doing this? We're basically trying to see if we can do something really simple and stupid. Someone asked if we can spawn, think of it as a planetary system. We're just trying to spawn a planetary system in, is what we're trying to do. But it obviously requires math. And, whoops. And I think what we need to do is work on our spawning stuff here. So, random float in range. Let's see, 200 and 300. This will be the distance away from the object. And this will have to be on. Let's see. It should only be on the. No, we should technically be able to spawn in all three. That's what we should be able to do. So probably could have done a random effect. Now let's break this. We want three different. Whoops. Not mean to do that. I meant to split this struct pin. Here, let's just do this, and let's not give it a rotational rate. Let's just see if we can get a. And then no rotation rate. Okay, let's see where it spawns at. Yeah, we should get something random is what I'm we want to get a random location, which it looks like you're getting the same location every friggin' time. Seriously? Oh, it's gonna be roughly, yeah, okay, never mind, that makes sense. So, oh, crap, and then we have to randomly flip that as well. Crap. Crappity, 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 crap. We're trying to get a location outside of the sphere, but not inside the sphere. And there's lots of ways I could do this. I guess I could just get a random in range and then push it out. And I'm just trying to do this really, really stupidly simple. We have to flip these. This is my issue right now, is I need to be able to flip this as well. No, I don't. Wait. If they all... Wait, why are they all going in the top right? Let's see. X, Y, 200 to 300. Hold on a second. Let me see something here. Okay, something about my math is not working right here. Dang it. I might have to do this differently off the stream. But basically, I was just trying to get this thing to populate spheres around outside of it. And then rotate them around it. It shouldn't be this difficult. The problem is it's math. So I'm gonna skip on this one for now. I don't want to spend a couple hours trying to figure out basic math where I fail at basic math. So I'll continue doing this for the other person, and I'll finish it up, and I'll send him his video. So that won't be much of a big deal on that one. We'll go back and work on the MMO stuff right now, because that one at least I know I can work and make work because I won't break it. And I'm pretty sure I started this up. There we go. Okay, I knew I started it up. So hopefully everyone had a good weekend. Yeah. Thank you, James. Yeah, I know I can do it. It's math related. I was hoping I could quickly knock it out, but it requires more math. It probably requires some probably geometry function that someone smarter than me has already designed somewhere. I could probably easily copy and paste, but I'd have to actually do that. Let me go back to the other one. Someone asked me about if I got an email. Let me see if I can double check on that one. Give me a second. It's gonna be one of those days. I have a feeling it's gonna be one of those days. Raphael asked if I got his email. Let's find out. I did. Okay, Raphael, I did get your email. Raphael's question was basically he's trying to work on big data in a VR project, and the problem he's having is he's losing a lot of frames per second when he's spawning about 10,000 items, and he wants to try at least 200,000 points of data. Right now, they're basically just billboards. He cold distance, and it's probably not going to give you a result because then, yeah, you wouldn't be able to see all your data. Since these items are probably just going to be points of data, and the points of data are probably only going to be different in their locations, what you're looking for is the instant static meshes. That is basically where it will draw one item and basically just translate it, move it, scale it, things like that. But because it only needs to draw technically one item just in multiple places, you get your performance. So I have not used instant static meshes much. There's hierarchical instant static meshes and regular instant static meshes. I have not used them much. I've tried them out once just to see how they work, but I haven't tried them out much past that. Let me pull up the documentation for it, and let me just show you some information. I'm trying to find... Oh, I was hoping to find the stupid official documentation page, and it's not cooperating. I have the API reference, so that doesn't help. Well, that doesn't help. Okay, but what you're looking for is... Here's a blueprint actor. Static mesh. So you have hierarchical instant static mesh and instant static mesh. I don't know what the difference is. There's obviously a difference because they're both in there, but this is what you're looking for. And the instant static mesh is, like it says, it is a component that efficiently renders multiple instances of the same static mesh. So in this case, like we could have our cube as the static mesh. And then what you do is you add in instances, and you'll notice that each instance has its own transform. So in your case, for your example here, where I'm looking at a 3D graph representation with a bunch of billboards, you would have this instant static mesh. This is your component. So say that like this is your graph manager, for example. Inside your graph manager, you have an instant static mesh component right here. And then you have your little cube or whatever you want to represent each of your data points. And then all you would do is go through and you would add, I'm pretty sure it's add instance. Yeah, there we go. Add instance. There's also add instance world space. It basically just takes if it's a local transform or world transform. And you'd add an instance, giving it a transform. And all it's going to do is basically take a copy and put it there, right there. And each one has its own transform, which means each one has its own location, rotation, and scale in the world. But because it's technically one mesh that's being drawn out to the GPU and all the math calculations and stuff, it's very efficiently rendered. So that's something, this is where you want to start looking at. Look into instant static meshes and hierarchical instant static meshes. That should hopefully help you get started. Yeah, that's what you're looking for right there. But for whatever reason, so I would need only one instant static mesh for all you want to render. That is correct. You have one instant static mesh. Think of it as think of it as a putting something in like a mirrored room. You technically only have one of them, but you can see hundreds of them. So the actual efficiency is really good because you're only physically throwing one of these on the GPU and then it duplicates the information. Apparently the math on the GPU is really fast. Handling data like vertexes and that is where it can run into issues. So yeah, you'd have one instant stack mesh, one blueprint, and then you'd throw all your data into the instant stack mesh right here and add each of those data points as an instance. That's what you would do. I'm trying to find the stupid documentation and I cannot find the documentation. I'm really disappointed right now. I don't know why I can't. Watch. Google.com. Let's see. Instance static mesh component. Oh, no, that's just mesh. So you have that, like here. Here's the API reference. Cool. Super helpful. Doesn't really help when we're trying to actually find more information about this. Information about them, how to add them. Here's some tutorials. So here's some other tutorials that people have done. But no actual UE4 official page on what they are that I can see. Oh, well, let's check out the docs. I'm really curious now. Oh, I probably could have clicked on the documentation link. Let's see. Instance mesh. Instance API reference. Nope, look, not even the official documentation has what we're looking for. Foliage, static, instance materials. Oh, I think someone needs to let them know. Let's see, ISMs don't have LOD options. HISM have LOD options. Okay, well, that's good to know. I think Raphael doesn't want level of detail because he's trying to, well, maybe it would help. You could have like I guess that might work. So Raphael, according to someone's name I cannot pronounce, I'm not even going to try it. He says the difference between hierarchical and non-hierarchical instant stack meshes is the hierarchical one can have LOD options or level of details. You could have a high-res mesh when you're up close to it, and it could go down to a lower res for performance purposes. Hello, Matt. How would I set up a Resident Evil old school camera? What do you mean by Resident Evil old school camera? I guess that would be the best question on that one. I did a video on a Resident Evil camera system. So let's find it in here. I actually called it Resident Evil Room Movement. And don't save. Well, here is a room system, so you can teleport from map to map, for example. But a static camera system is you just set yourself up a static camera, which I don't think I ever set up a video for that. I don't think I've done a static camera video. Technically, we could do it right here, probably. Let's see. Yeah, oh look, I already have a camera in here. Yeah, I already have it set up to do that. Yeah, I do have it set. I do actually have this map set up to do that. I just don't remember where I have it set up to do it. Let's see if we can figure out where I put it. Nope, not in there. Do we put it in the controller? Nope. Game instance? Nope. Game mode? Nope. Okay. So if the easiest way should probably be setting up the auto activate on the camera. Yeah. So whoop. Yeah. So and then this teleports over. That map probably doesn't have a camera set up. So yeah, it does have a camera set up. We just never turned on auto activate. Bloop, like that. So now in theory, yeah. Whoa! Crap, my guy just fell through the thing. Okay, so here's my little guy, and he'll run over here. He'll go to here. This one's got a camera here. Oh, I'm horrible at running. Okay. Yeah, so it's pretty much as simple as what I just did. By default, your player, so our player character, has a camera attached to it. And by default, because our controller connects to this character and the camera by default has auto activate turned on, it's going to be the active camera for your controller. Now, if you disabled that, so we turned it off, for example, and then you activated another camera. So in this case, I just dragged a camera. Let's find a camera. I just dragged a camera into the world, set it up where I want, so you can see it's going to be right here, and told it to auto-activate for player 0. Then it's going to go ahead and turn itself on, and there we have a Resident Evil camera system. And as long as that's turned on in all my rooms, like you can see in this case, it's turned on in this room now. I can't steer for crap, apparently, in this view. There we go. So like map 3 is not set up, so I'll have an issue here, because there's no camera for map 3. So if I go into map 3, I find where my camera's at, where I have no camera. So we'll do this one. So we'll go ahead and type in camera. We'll drag a camera into our scene. Now this is the best part about cameras, is right-click on the camera and pilot it. And now we are the camera. So let's see, I'll put the camera right here. Like that. And then you can eject. And now our camera is right there. We'll tell that camera to auto-activate. We'll hit play on map 1. And that would be map 3 now should have a camera set up like we put it. There we go. Map 6 won't, because we never set one up for map 6. Getting your movement to be relative to the camera is completely different. But this is just how you set up a static camera. Tell your character not to use theirs by telling it not to turn on the camera. And then go ahead and have any other camera in your scene to to turn itself on. So in this case, it's auto-activate. And it's auto player for player 0. So that means whenever player 0 is here, it's going to be using this camera, basically. I don't think it will work if we disable for the player. No, it will not. We need to make sure that when player 0 spawns, it auto-activates. You can always change this as well. You can just simply change your view target. So in this case, let's see, this is a camera actor. So in this case, our character, for example, our character is spawned. When the character spawns in, we'll get all actors of class camera. We should have a camera actor. So this is going to grab all the cameras in the scene. Then we'll grab the first one. We'll set our view target. Oh, stupid. Can I have it? Thank you. Set view target with blend. Tell it to change the view target for the current controller we're using. The new view target is going to be the camera that we just got. So when it starts up, nope, let's go ahead and make sure we disabled it so we can make sure we're doing this right. There we go. Yeah. So it's disabled, and you'll notice it grabbed the camera and it set itself up. And that's how you could have the player automatically grab whatever camera by using the set view target with blend node. And you can even have it fade in and out if you have multiple cameras, for example. But those are your two different ways of doing it. This one might be the safest way of doing it, simply because you're always going to guarantee that you're going to grab a camera in the scene and set it to that. And then you can always check as well. So for example, if we did this, grabbed all the cameras, grab the first camera. Actually, we'll do this. We'll do length. So context sensitive length. This is kind of like a safety check that you should almost always do, because I tend to break stuff. And greater than 0. Here we go. Plug this in. Move this over here like this. My organization sucks today. There we go. We'll go do something like that. So as long as we have a camera, we're going to go and set our view target. And if we don't have a camera, we're going to go, yo, dude, set up a camera in this map. So you give yourself a little bit of safety there. And then now if we go to our map, so let's see, we didn't have a camera in one of our maps. Let's find out. So let's go over here to map 4. And it gives us, you notice we can't do anything because there's no camera set up. And our character kind of like completely screws up. So just kind of like one of those safety checks. Okay, yeah. I knew I had one in here somewhere. At least I thought we set it up. Oh, I'm clicking on stuff. That's why stuff is loading up on my screen. I keep clicking on stuff. Let's see. So let's go back. Okay, so let's see. Will those cameras be building memory each time they're activated? Each of these building memory, what do you mean? Like, will they be using memory? Or, you know, continually using? Is that what we're saying? If that's the question, then no. Simply due to the fact that you have one camera per map. We're changing maps. So since we're physically changing maps, we are only we only have one camera in the scene. So once we destroy the old map, the old camera goes away. If you're in the same map and you're changing cameras, they're physically just objects in the scene that you're viewing through. If they're not active, then they should be fine. It shouldn't really be an issue. You're not rendering anything out of an inactive camera. So I guess that's something to think about. And if you are really worried about that, there is an activate and there's an activate Boolean you can access. You can just grab the camera and deactivate it, for example, if you're going to not use it anymore when you switch cameras, if you're going to worried about that. But if they're different maps, you don't have to worry about it because you're going to get rid of it when you switch maps. So let's start up Mongo. And let's start up the server. Let's start up the live stream server. Let's make sure we can reconnect to everything. So this should be where we're at right now. We should be able to log in. Nothing should crash. Our character's got some really crappy looking duder here. I still have this broken because we're technically working on NPCs for like the last 2 weeks. We can target our stuff properly. We can aggro something, pull it. Our attack should work. Our melee swing should work. They should die. We should get loot. They should stick around for a little bit and then poof. And our stats go. We actually spawn her. There we go. Cool. Everything's still working. That's what I was hoping for. The last thing we were working on was NPCs. We kind of were trying to set them up and failing miserably. I apparently broke something though. I've noticed that. We need to kind of fix that. He is showing that he's targeted. My targeting system is broken for NPCs. So we need to figure out why. He is set to targetable, so that shouldn't be an issue. Toggle is target, get user widget. He is a target. So I think the problem is our overhead widget defaults to target on. I think that's our issue right now. So begin play. Yeah, no, he is not a target. That should not be running. Okay, so let's see if we can figure this out. He's not a target. And this should run through here. Is not a target. He's not a target. Toggle is target should run. Targeting the overhead widget. His overhead widget should run through toggle is target. This is his indicator branch right here. Oh, so we don't have our target indicator set up. This is where we screwed up. We forgot to plug these back in, apparently. Like that. Okay. So simple thing. Someone unhooked them for some reason. I think I was doing something to try to figure something out, and I never actually finished. So I killed the server. Let's go ahead and build ourselves out our new server. Let's pull up our document, because I keep forgetting to open up the document that we're working on. Let's see if we get lucky and get the right document. Yeah, there we go. I think I also just saw a crash. Yes, I did, of course. This is a stupid bug where this thing keeps getting reset to a different project. And I haven't figured out why. So we'll fix this. This will take a second. There we go. Now it'll save it, and now we can go and run it. So that'll fix itself. Okay, so Technically, we were working on NPCs. We have the basics of our monsters, and I mean, we have the basics of a monster. It's a crappy monster, but at least it can run, attack, fight, blah, blah, blah. We were kind of working on our NPCs. We set up our generic NPC. We set our overhead up. We have our structure for our 3 different types, but we don't technically have an NPC that can do anything. So what I'm thinking might be the easiest thing to do, just so we can get some form of a basic setup working, is we'll do our quest our lore NPC. We'll set it up where if the player's next to the NPC, they click on the NPC, then it can pop up either a dialogue box or it can pop up something on the bottom of the screen. It can pop up something that will give us something. It'll give us just simply text, like, how are you doing today? It's a great day today. I heard there were wolves wandering around. Be careful. Something like that. That's what our lore NPC is. But at least that'll set us up so we can do a range check to make sure we're in range. We can check the type of NPC. We can do our appropriate action. I think that's the easiest way to get our NPCs working. We can't really work on a merchant NPC because someone hasn't implemented the inventory yet. And we can't really work on the quest NPC because someone hasn't implemented quests yet. I need to find the person and tell them they need to get on that. Okay, we're done here. Good. So let's see if that bug got fixed. Because someone, keeps introducing bugs. We shouldn't. SpongeBob should be blank. That's what I was looking for. SpongeBob is blank. That's what I wanted. He had the weird targeting thing set up. I still can't target him for some reason. Something broke somewhere. Why can't I target him? Well, let's find out. Players, MMO character. This is our current character that we're using. This is our left mouse button down. We will debug that spot right there. We'll go back to our game. We will click. Let's see, return result. We did hit something, so we will frame skip. And let's see what we hit. No, we hit nothing. Okay, so I have a feeling our NPC is not responding to the visibility channel. I have a feeling that is an issue. So let's find our NPC. This is a weird issue with pawns that I don't know why it's set up like this. And I've mentioned this like multiple times. Yeah. Pawns are not set to respond to the visibility channel for some reason. I really don't know why it's set like that. Our capsule component is and should be, but I'm probably not hitting the capsule component. Okay, so let me throw my debug back on. I had a debug here at one point in time, which of course I've completely removed because I'm a dummy. Let's just set the mesh to respond. Where's our NPC? Yeah, let's just set the mesh to respond as well to visibility, and hopefully that fixes our issue. Because we should be targeting it, and it should be responding properly. Okay, cool. That's saved. Let's kill that. Let's go and build everything out again. Hopefully everyone's had a good weekend. If anyone's worked on something fun or did anything fun, programming or not programming related, since we have a lot of uptime and downtime as we build out things to play with, I'd be more than happy to hear and comment. I went on a family thingy over the weekend where we went to the caverns here. There are a bunch of limestone caverns or something like that. I don't know. The wife wanted to do that with the kids, so we spent like 2 hours in a big hole in the ground looking at rocks, basically. Everyone else enjoyed it, so I can't complain too much, but we spent 2 hours looking at rocks in a hole, basically. Hopefully everyone else spent, some more enjoyable time this weekend. Okay, so can we... There we go. Okay, so why is SpongeBob not responding to being targeted is my issue. This is my same target. Same target's working. We know he's working, but why is he not responding to visibility? Let's try that again. Because it does look like he's not responding properly, right? Frame skip. We'll go past here. Hit result nothing. False. We are getting nothing. Why are we getting nothing from from SpongeBob. Our fry cook is completely messed up at this point in time. Okay, well, I guess we will have to put in another debug, which I was not hoping to have to do. Player control, get result. Let's see. Okay, seriously, why is this not working? Player controller, hit result under cursor by channel, visibility. SpongeBob is a NPC. SpongeBob is an NPC, right? I guess I probably should have... Did I break... Oh, man, you know what I'm going to be upset about? If I change the version of... Whoops, that's my playground. If I change SpongeBob, the actual instance of him. No, yeah, he's set properly. He should... Oh, query only. Why is he set to query only? Yeah, that should work, right? Raycast? Oh my gosh. I am literally at a very... I am literally not understanding why SpongeBob is not working. Okay, well, I don't want to debug, but I have no choice here. Okay, so regardless of anything, here, if we hit false, no, because we hit false, we're not going to get a result. Or is he getting targeted and we are not outputting? Oh, you know what? Okay, you know what? I'm wondering if this is me being a dum-dum here. This is a definite possibility there's a dum-dum move here. Because I'm hitting him, but I'm not actually calling the code. So let's build this out and test. Okay. Started your new job today. Cool. That is good. Cliftonix is building a Jurassic Park fan game. Awesome. You're only getting 4080p, 60 FPS. No, I am doing, and I'll show you this here. This is going to be awesome. Whee! OBSception. But I'm actually streaming less than I did last week. So I'm only around 28, as you can see here. 24 is my average, and 30 frames per second. So it should be, I should have good compatibility with everyone at this point in time. It should be 1920, 1080. Maybe try Twitch or Beam, or maybe force YouTube to something else. That's about the only thing I can think of. It should be fine though. Okay, let's go back to here. I'm really starting to dislike having to debug multiplayer. Yeah, look, NPC base character. Okay, you know, I'm going to keep that debug in because that's helpful at this point in time. We are hitting our base character. Okay, so we are hitting our base character. So it's got nothing to do with hitting the character. It's got to do with the fact that we are not doing something properly. So let's see if we can figure out what we're doing stupidly here. So here's our character. This is if it's the same target. We go ahead and same target, do nothing. So is this a valid target? Is valid target. What the hell is valid target? Grab the hit actor, use it in, oh my gosh. Ha! Okay. So, let me tell you about a story when someone was doing something 2 weeks ago and forgot what he was doing. Someone made a new function called isValidTarget right here. And this valid target thing was set up so that way you are only allowed to target things that are valid. For instance, my mobs, my NPCs, not my NPCs, my monsters. When my monsters died, I didn't want them to be targetable anymore because they were dead. And I kept having an issue with targeting dead stuff, and you'd see like negative health, and it looked bad. So I put a new function interface in here called isValidTarget. And this is really simple. Anything that wants to be a valid target will return back true. If not, it's going to return back false by default. And I set it up so our monsters will always return back true or false based on the health of the monster. So it made it really simple to prevent my monsters from being targetable once they died. It's great. The problem is our NPC character never implemented this code. By default, it returns back false. So by default, my NPC is saying, hey, you can't target me. So someone forgot all about that, and that caused all the issues we were just having. So that's super duper. Is there a note to return the difference between two integers? Well, Harry has said subtraction, and 8shot has said minus. I'm going to go with both of those. I would assume you just subtract two integers to get the difference. If we're talking, yeah, you should be able to just subtract the two, and then you could absolute if there's a negative, if you want to make sure you always get a positive value. So like, let's see, let's do a calculator. That should work, right? Like if you had 0 minus 15 should give us negative 15. There's a 15 difference. 15 minus 0. See, now that's kind of a problem. Because 15 minus 0 technically gives us 15. And there's definitely not a 15 difference. Oh, there's a 15 difference between... Never mind, my brain's not working properly. Yeah, okay. So yeah, you should be able to take any of your two numbers and absolute them if you want the actual difference. Because you got to keep in mind, if you did 0 minus 15, technically you get negative 15. But if you absolute it, it gives you back 15. And if you do 15 minus 0 and absolute that, you'll get 15. Okay, yep. So subtract and then use the absolute node to give you back the actual difference in terms of a positive number. Yes, apparently subtraction is being scienced right now because you just saw me. I did 15 minus 0 and I failed miserably. You could do an is greater condition as well. Or you could just use an absolute node, and it's one less node probably in the end. Because you have to do an is greater, and then you have to do a if statement. I wonder if there is, you know what, it's funny, okay. Let me test this first, and then, what's funny is that actually sounds like, oh, I probably should have started the server, huh? Let's start the server this time, so we can connect, there we go. Uh-oh. There's my monsters. Look, we can actually target the stupid thing now. I have him targetable. Oh, that was stupid. Absolute is... removes the subtraction, basically. It makes sure it's a positive number. It makes sure it's make sure it's a positive number. I mean, like, say a gun clip is 32. You fire 15. I need to know to only take 15 from the stockpile. Wouldn't you just take, 32 minus 15? If that's what we're talking about. Yeah, just subtraction. Yeah, that's just simple subtraction. No, now that you guys mentioned what we were talking about, I don't think there's a difference, though. That would be actually kind of funny. I could dip. Can I right click, please? Okay, there's a set node. But that actually sounds like something that would make a good macro. Do like number minus number, absolute the output, and then turn that into a macro so you have a difference macro in case you ever need a actual difference macro. That would be a good use for a macro. But yeah, a gun clip's 32, you fire 15, I need to only take 15 from the stockpile. Yeah, take your gun clip and subtract your amount and make sure it's above, and then set your gun clip to the new total. You'd want to do a lot more checking than that, though, because you're going to have to make sure your gun clip is actually greater than or equal to the amount you fire, or else you're going to have to just reload the amount you have left in your gun clip and then zero out the gun clip and only load up what was in the clip. So there's a little bit more math than that, just to be safe. Okay, so we fixed that. So let's go back to our NPC character. We have our type that we can set lore. So if this is a lore NPC, this is where some questions come in. Our lore NPC is just going to give us lore. So he's just going to say stuff. I'm going to make this super simple. I'm going to put it on the NPC itself. I'm going to make my game designer struggle and have to put the lore on every single NPC just to be mean. Because I feel like it. Now, if I wasn't being mean, I would probably have something like a lore ID and match that up to a data table, so that way my lore could be edited externally, and then each NPC could simply tag it with a different ID and then load it up from that. But I'm going to be mean, because I don't like my game designer. He is super friggin' lazy. And I need to make him work. So cool. So we'll have a lore text. This is the default text dummy. Change it. So if that ever pops up, someone needs to fix that. Okay, so our lore NPC. We need some sort of a thing for making lore. Now let's go to our playground. And let's say we had our lore NPC. So we had our little dude here. Now we could have a little... you have like overhead text. You have like, if we're playing our game, we could have a text dialogue window like EverQuest 1 just threw all the text inside of the chat thing. Elder Scrolls throws it up at the bottom of the screen and gives you a voiceover. So we have various ways of doing that. There's no right way. For example, if we did it at the bottom of the screen, it might interfere with the player's UI. If we did it above the NPC, what if they're not looking at it? If we did it in the chat thing, then they have to read the chat thing. What if they have it hidden for screen space? This is basically whatever I want to design it. I think I'm going to fix it to the screen. I'm going to have the entire UI fixed, and then we're going to fix their text to the screen. So we're going to have it pop up like, we'll have like a hotbar here, and then we'll have their text pop up here on the screen. And we're going to make it kind of like Elder Scrolls, where it's just going to be text on the screen and pop up for, I don't know. We'll put a duration on each one. We'll figure it out. Which means we're going to change something else I just realized. Eclipse. You wanted some free art icons for your game, like the overhead icons. Right now, I don't. Right now, I want to make sure we use everything in the engine. Because at this point, I could give you guys all this code. And as long as you were a licensed UE4 dev, you'd be able to log in and download it. Because I'm only using Epic tutorial stuff or Epic licensed stuff. Even if you give me free stuff, we'd still have to take those icons and put them under like the MIT license or something like that, and then that would have to be put in the project itself, and it's a giant pain in the ass to redistribute even free stuff. So right now, I'm not going to, and then if we get to the point where we want to make this a little prettier, then I'll see about, Eclipse, I'll see about grabbing some icons from you or from another source that may be free. For now, it really doesn't matter. I mean, literally, we don't even have half this. What, we got about 10% of this game working? I'm not too worried about it. Old Siren, I did see your question. Let me quickly implement what I'm doing here before I lose my train of thought, and then we'll go from there. So our lore text is going to be... I'm going to turn this into a... I'm going to try to turn this into... Can I turn this into a friggin' map, please? Thank you. A string and an integer is what I'm going to do. And this is going to be changed now. Because I want this to actually be a string for what we're going to show, and a duration is what we're going to do. Because we would, for example, if someone says hi, we don't want it sitting on the screen for 15 seconds, as opposed to if they rambled on their entire story. So now it's going to be a map, so we can map things together, which is super duper. You know what? I'm going to answer Old Siren's question first. So we have a string hold on a second, literal string, and then we have a literal text, and we have a literal name. There we go. I'm pretty sure that's what he asked, right? Text, string, and name. And we'll even put it in the order he asked. Text, string, and name. Okay. Text, string, and name. String is a basic. String is going to be your basic. So let's put this on the top. String is going to be literally whatever you put in here, including spaces and other funky ASCII characters. And it's going to output the exact same thing. This is basically what you put in. What is in the string is what comes out of the string. It's intended for simple display. You can't really do anything special with it. String has the most amount of functions, though. So under here, this is where we find all of our fun stuff. Appending things, building things, seeing if it contains stuff, seeing if it's got numeric numbers, chopping things up, splitting things apart. String has most of your functions in it. It's the thing that, it's technically a container. And it has most of your manipulation abilities. Text is basically a string, but you can localize it. Text has stuff behind it, so if you localized it, for example, in this case, you'd get things such as keys and identifiers, and you have the ability to use text for localization purposes. This is why all of our output, for example, our labels on the user interface, all take text. Because the display purposes are, you want text, because you can then make, for example, a localization file, and you could have hello actually be hello in 10 different languages, and based on strings and stuff like that, not strings, local, yeah, see, so we have localization tables here, which is this right here. And it allows us to put in input. So what it is, what's the key, and then it outputs it. And this gives us, for example, we could have, I don't think there is, yeah. So you have stuff like preferred languages of the player, or you set up a user interface and they chose English, Spanish, every other language that I don't know besides French, I guess, Italian, I don't know. But they chose their language, you set a variable somewhere, that you plug into here, you have a key for all of the different words. So instead of saying print hello on the string, on the screen, we print key whatever. And that key then outputs whatever it is appropriate to the language. So that's your biggest difference between a text and a string. Texts are meant to be localized, but you don't have to do it. It can just output into a format. And your biggest difference in here, you'll notice, is we don't have near as many things. We don't have the contains, we don't have the mids, the left, the rights. We don't have any of that stuff. Because the text is meant to be an output format, not really for manipulation. Name is, well, let's go to the end part here first of all. You'll notice names have nothing. You're not supposed to do anything with names except to compare or use them as keys. Because names are case insensitive. A name typed like this, none, all lowercase, is the same as one like this, is the same as one like that, is the same as one, like this. Names are case insensitive. So you use names for keys. So for example, I want the left arm. I have an inventory and it's set up to hold all of the stuff. So I would want to use a name as my key for my inventory. For example, left arm, right arm, legs, chest, helm. So that way whenever I'm accessing it, I don't have to worry about how it's typed in. It just is a case insensitive identifier. That's what your names are. That's why you'll find your sockets. That's why you'll find your sockets and your bones and things like that are going to be names, because it doesn't care about how they're spelled. You're using them as an identifier. That's what a name is for. This is basically like an internal identifier, you can think of it. Okay. Cliftonic, dynamic weather. I doubt I can help you very much with that one. it's really complicated. I would say, honestly, if you want, let me pull this one up. I know that Horrence, when released all of his stuff for the Solus project, I'm trying to find, oh man, I don't remember how to spell his website. Here we go. But Horrence released all of his stuff that he was doing with the Solus project. He has a bunch of books and videos in here. In the video section, or the tutorial section, it's one of these two here. He's got some stuff about the Solus project. He covers how he did weather for the Solus project. Here we go. So yeah, so here's a bunch of stuff. Level, content, information, updates, visuals, blueprints, arts, levels, more stuff. All the stuff he did. It's a lot of stuff to look through. I don't know which one's in here, but he covers his weather system, his dynamic weather system and stuff like that in here. So this might be a good place to start. And plus these are also great videos to watch and get general tips for. Other than that, I mean, I've never done a dynamic weather system, so I wouldn't know just from the top head, off the top of my head, not really how to do it. It would be more of a pick some random stuff, and then out of your random stuff, pick something to do at random times. I mean, that's literally what I would think of for dynamic weather. You have a lot of variables, basically. Let's see. Rodrigo, give me a second. The 8-shot. His question is, there's a way to remove something like spaces from a string. There is a way to remove something like spaces from a string. So let's say we had make literal string, and we had this is awesome. And then we go to our string utilities, and we look through here. You can find things like contain. You can actually check for spaces in there. Call array I can never get to work. That one's super annoying. But replace is what you're looking for. This is the easiest way to do it. Replace space with nothing. And this will output a string with no spaces. That's the simplest way of doing it. Because remember I mentioned strings are literally everything that's in there. So a space counts as something inside of a string. So just do a space and tell it to replace a space with nothing. That's the easiest way of doing it. I don't think there's a specific one just for spaces. You can trim, but this gets rid of spaces in the beginning and the end, is what trim does. Split will split it out based on a something. So a space, for example. I don't think chop will work properly. Replace is usually the easiest one. That's generally the easiest way of doing it. Yeah, I don't think there's another one in here. Yeah, honestly, that's probably the easiest way of doing it. Just replace space with nothing. Let's see. Mr. Engineer asked about an overview of casting. Give me a second on that one. How can you switch smoothly between two cameras inside of a blueprint? Outside works with target blend, but inside blueprint it did not work. So do you have a little more information, Rodrigo? Or do we have two cameras inside of one blueprint that we're trying to switch between? If so, that one's probably going to take a little bit more work. But it can work. It's just, if I remember correctly, a giant pain in the rear. Okay. So yeah, Mr. Engineer, let me go ahead and let me answer this question for Rodrigo. Casting will take a little bit longer, but let me answer this question for Rodrigo, and then I'll try to give you an overview of casting. I might have, actually I did a camera thingy in here. This is the easiest way that I did it. Actually, I can show you right here. Crap. What did I call it? I literally did this for somebody on Wednesday. Oh, here's a first or third camera blend. I may have already done this for somebody. Let's read my actual, here, let's see. What is this? What are these camera blend characters? Okay, so let's see if where I put the code. Begin play. Oh yeah, that's some view pitch stuff. This is spawning our camera. Yeah, that's more than likely what you're gonna have to do, which is super annoying. But more than likely what you're gonna have to do. I don't think I have. Yeah, let's see. I'm trying to find yeah, I'm trying to find. So this is roughly how you have to do it because of the way, because you notice that the view target with blend needs a actor. So this is roughly what you have to do to make it work, and this is what we did as an example. Play. I think I already have begin play in here, don't I? Yeah, I have to set to print. So let's see. Move this over here. Yeah, and if I remember correctly, yeah, there we go. And that's what we set it up for right there. I want to say this is the other one I need to hook up, right? Yeah, and that's how we switched to the first to the third. Okay, so and this was the issue we ran into because we did do this before. So let me unhook the view target with blend and let me turn this into a key. So let's turn this into Y. Let's hook it up like this. It should be, yeah, here's a third person. I hit Y. It should go into first person, and then I have a first person smooth view target. Because the view target with blend needs a actual actor reference, you basically have to spawn in a camera to be used as an actor and then attach it to the correct spot. This was my workaround for it. There are other ways of working around it. You could have multiple cameras in there. You can activate and deactivate cameras. But the problem you're going to run into is when you're trying to do the blend, it's going to cause a problem. Blend really only wants to talk to an actor and one camera at a time. So an actor with two cameras causes issues. So what I do is spawn in your own camera. Just spawn in another camera somewhere into the world. Store reference to it. So now we have another actor that is a camera. And then what I'm doing is attaching that where I want it. So in this case, if on my player has his normal third-person camera. And then I have another camera, a root, just a scene component that I called my camera root. And this is where I want the other camera to attach to. So all this is going to do is spawn it in and place it right there. So if we were to go ahead and run this, and we looked at our character, you'll notice I have a camera attached to a second spot right there on his head. And then whenever you want it, you can use your view target and then blend into that new camera. And you could always switch back if you wanted to, for example. So like, I guess we'll go with the U key. No, let's go with the T key. No, that's the Y key. Yep, I had the T key. Let's go with there's the U key. So we could always just grab this stuff and we'll move it over here like this. We'll set the U key and then we don't want that one this time. We want our third person camera. We want our, actually we want ourself because you can't plug in. Yeah. You can't plug in a camera. You have to plug in an actor, which means ourself, and it's going to get the active camera. Because technically, the attached camera is a completely different actor. So when we tell it to look at the camera inside of ourself, it only finds this one. It doesn't find the attached one because it's separate. And then we flip these back off because first and third has two different control setups. So now we should be able to do Y for first, and then U should go back to third. Like that. And of course, my dude is still definitely rotated the wrong way. But those are separate things you have to figure out. They're super annoying to figure out the correct settings for first and third. I worked on it at one point, and it's super annoying to have to remember which one's which. Just an FYI. Switching between first and third, you're going to have to change the controller settings. And it's stupid annoying. I don't remember which one it is. I don't know. Let's push this button and see what happens. I remember working on it for a while. It was annoying. Does that work? Yeah, that worked. There we go. Okay, cool. So Y should give me first person. Whoop. Oh, crap. That's not good. Well, let's see what happens when he goes down to die. Ah. Okay. Now let's see. We can see our death in third person. And we can see our death in first person. Which doesn't help very much. No. Okay. Yeah. That's the basic. That was the solution I came to for doing that one. Hopefully that helps at least. And that's just simply because the view target basically grabs a camera on an actor. Okay, so we had casting was the question, which I've done a couple videos on. And let's see, this is my older one. So let's grab this one. I'm pretty sure that was it. Hello, Lewin. Glad that you like the videos. I am glad that they're helpful. Okay, so Mr. Engineer's question is, can you give an overview what casting is in general? And if I remember where I put my examples at, I would be more than happy to. Of course. I don't remember. I literally don't remember where I put half the stuff I work on. There we go. Casting, child parent map. There we go. Let's see if this one still works. Bloop. Bloop. Yeah, that one gives me life. And then this one is over. Okay, cool. So, casting is... Let's see, you know what, I'm not even going to do it in here. I'm going to do it in my playground just to make it super simple. I'm going to open up the playground. Give me a second. But casting is basically telling something exactly what it is. I guess is the easiest way of thinking about it. Now, an example that I think Zach Parrish uses, and he's like the smartest person in the world in regards to stuff like this. Let me do map casting map. There we go. So there we go. Let me save out my map, and then I will show you an example. Casting map. Okay. So let's say we have a blueprint. So we're going to make a new blueprint, and we're going to call this blueprint, blueprint, and we're going to call this Hugh Jackman. So this is Hugh Jackman. He is a sphere. He's a really cool looking sphere, and we all know what Hugh Jackman looks like. Now, sometimes Hugh Jackman actually works for a living, and when he works, because he's an actor, he plays other parts. So let's say Hugh Jackman is playing a classic one, Wolverine. And let's say Hugh Jackman is also playing someone other than Wolverine. And I can't remember the name of the dude in Les Miserables. So I'm going to go with Les Miserables. And I don't even know how to spell it, so we're going to call it Les Mis. So there we go. So we have Hugh Jackman being Hugh Jackman. And we have Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine. And Hugh Jackman playing whatever the dude's name is in Les Miserables. Which I can't even pronounce right. I should probably find a different movie that Hugh Jackman's played in. Now, if we were to click on the right thing, move myself, here we go. So if we were to look at these three things, they may look similar. However, if you've seen them in the movies, you'll know that Hugh Jackman looks like Wolverine when he's playing Wolverine, and he looks like whatever the dude's name in Les Mis is when he plays the dude in Les Mis. However, they are still all technically Hugh Jackman. Now, in this example here, I have three different blueprints. Hugh Jackman, Les Mis, and Hugh Jackman Wolverine. So let's open up Wolverine. And Wolverine, well, as Wolverine, he can claw. So we're going to make a custom event called, unsheath claws. There we go. And we'll print string, and we'll go snick. So Wolverine could unsheath his claws. Cool, not a problem. Now, here's our Les Miserables dude. Now, our Les Mis dude, he doesn't have claws, so he can't undo his claws, but he can sing. I don't think I've ever heard Wolverine sing yet. So, he can sing a song. And we'll print a string, and we'll go la, 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 like that. Okay. Now, that's cool. Now, Hugh Jackman himself, he can do stuff. So, let's give him a custom event. And his custom event is going to be, I don't know, what can Hugh Jackman, we'll call look cool. Hugh Jackman can look cool. He can look cool like all the time. No matter what, Hugh Jackman can always look cool. So he can look cool as Wolverine. He can look cool as the dude in Les Mis. I am awesome. Okay. So here we go. Now we have three different things in our game. We have our Hugh Jackman as Les Mis, and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. And all of them have things that are unique to them. So when we looked through our Hugh Jackman, he can look cool. When we look through the Les Mis, he can sing a song. And when we look through Wolverine, he can unsheath his claws. Now let's say we are inside our world, and we are... This is going to be Bpint, and we're going to be the fan. So we're going to call this the fan. This is me as a fan. And I now see Hugh Jackman. I want to talk to the Hugh Jackman and do something with the Hugh Jackman that's appropriate. So in this case, for example, I could begin play, and we will get all actors of class. We're going to grab all the Hugh Jackmans. And we are simply going to see how many Hugh Jackmans we have. Length, and print it out. Bloop, like that. And now if we hit play, we should see 3. We have 3 Hugh Jackmans in our game. Now, the first part about understanding casting is the parent-child relationship. And you have to understand that technically when we hit find all Hugh Jackmans, you'll notice that we found... Where's my Hugh Jackmans? Here we go. I looked for Hugh Jackman. I didn't look for Hugh Jackman Les Mis or Hugh Jackman Wolverine. I looked for Hugh Jackman. However, in our map, we only have one Hugh Jackman. We have a Hugh Jackman Les Mis and a Hugh Jackman Wolverine. So technically, there's only one Hugh Jackman. But it gave us back 3 when we asked for how many there are. That's because Hugh Jackman is our parent. He's our original. And Hugh Jackman Les Mis and Hugh Jackman Wolverine are children of Hugh Jackman. If you look at them, you'll see that Hugh Jackman, under the parent class, if we look at the description about 3 down, his parent is actor. He is a child of actor. Les Mis Hugh Jackman actually has Hugh Jackman himself as his parent, and Wolverine has Hugh Jackman himself as the parent. So when we look for Hugh Jackman, technically the children count as the parent because they are inheriting the parent's stuff. They know all about what the parent knows. And I can show you that by, here is all of these. What we're going to do this time is we're going to loop through each of these. We're going to talk to every single one of these Hugh Jackmans, and we're going to ask them to do something. So in this case, it was look cool. So we hit play this time, we should have I am awesome 3 times. each one of our, let me extend this out a little bit to like 10 seconds. There we go. Each one of our Hugh Jackmans said, I am awesome. Because inside of our Hugh Jackman class, we have look cool, which prints out I am awesome. Now, if we wanted to talk to someone specific, so in this case, I see Wolverine and the Les Mis dude, and I want to talk to Wolverine. I don't want to talk to Hugh Jackman as Hugh Jackman. I want to talk to Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine. I need to somehow talk to just the Wolverine version of it. And this is where our casting comes in. So in this case, I could say, hey, I want to grab all the Hugh Jackmans. So we know that's going to give us 3 of them. I'm going to cast to the Wolverine. I'm going to talk to this guy right here and cast to Wolverine. And I'm going to say, are you Wolverine? And it's going to say yes or no. And if it says no, I am not Wolverine, it's going to print out. And if it says yes, then we're going to talk to that Wolverine and we're going to tell him to unsheath his claws. Like this. So when we hit play, we should see I'm not Wolverine, Snick, and for Pete's sake, I really got to start setting my default to 10 seconds. There we go. 10. There we go. Better. Okay. Go back to our fan. And there we go. We have I am not Wolverine, Snick, and I am not Wolverine. We talked to all 3 of them. We said, hey, are you... I want to cast to Hugh Jackman Wolverine. I want this object, which is a Jackman, and I want to say, hey, are you specifically the Wolverine Jackman? And it's going to say yes or no. And if it says no, well, we print out I'm not Wolverine. If it says yes, we say, hey, Mr. Wolverine, can you unsheath your claws? We can also still tell him to look cool. So we can still tell the Wolverine one to look cool. So in this case, it'll see I'm not Wolverine, I'm awesome, Snick, I'm not Wolverine. Because he's inheriting his parents' stuff. We could do the same thing for the Les Mis guy if we wanted to, and on and on and on. So like, for example, we could say, hey, are you Wolverine? Do this. If you're not Wolverine, well, let's go ahead and we failed. So let's try casting to the Les Mis guy. You're not Wolverine. Are you the Les Mis guy? If you are, we're going to go ahead and tell you to sing. And if you're not Wolverine and you're not the Les Mis guy, then you're probably Hugh Jackman. So I'm just going to tell you to look cool. And now we should get 3 different things. La la la, Snick, and I am awesome. So there's your basics. Casting is basically, again, just specifically trying to talk to a specific version of something. You have to understand the basics of the parent-child relationship to understand why we want to do that. And the biggest thing is, when we created our blueprint, so in this case I did a new blueprint, it's asking me for the parent class. By default, most of the time, you're going to have actors as your parent class because your actor contains most of your functionality. It's something inside the game. You have specifics like pawn, characters, controllers, and other things. But for the most part, it's going to be actors. And the reason why it's important to know that is, let's say we were inside of our fan and we did something that used an actor. A common one is our line trace. So here's our line trace. Our line trace shoots a laser beam out and figures out what we hit. And when we hit something, it gives us back the result. And you'll notice this result is an actor. We don't know which one, though. It could be Hugh Jackman. It could be the Floor. It could be Wolverine. It could be Professor X. It could be Susan Storm, for all we know. We don't know what it is. We just know that it's of type actor. So that's when we want to cast to what we want to check for specifically. So in this case, I could check for Jackman, for example. Actually, I want to check for just Wolverine. Can I type in Wolverine? There we go. In this case, we cast to just Wolverine. And now, because we only care about shooting something at Wolverine. And if we hit Wolverine, then we're going to go ahead and do something with Wolverine. If not, then we don't care. We're going to do something else maybe. So that's primarily what you have to learn the casting for. Because in this case, because I'll do this right here, we're going to go ahead and we'll do unsheath claws. Cool. Should work perfectly fine. Unsheath claws targets the blueprint Hugh Jackman Wolverine. It targets our Wolverine blueprint, which has unsheathed claws. Because only this blueprint knows how to do this. If we were to try to unsheath claws right here, you'll notice it doesn't come up. We could force it like this, but you'll notice it doesn't work. It's not compatible. Because an actor is just an actor. It's not specifically Wolverine played by Hugh Jackman. That's why our casting says, hey, Mr. Actor, I think you're Wolverine. Let's see if you are Wolverine, and if so, then we want to do something with you. So there you go. Hopefully that helped out Mr. Engineer. I cannot take credit for the Hugh Jackman analogy. Zach took it and I just stole it. I should remember the name of... Okay, you know what? At this point in time, because I can only think of him in 3 movies at this point. I know he's been in more, but my brain is not functioning properly. So now we have to actually look up Hugh Jackman as part of our... we'll say this is work, is what we'll say this is. Van Helsing? He was in Van Helsing? Was he Van Helsing? I haven't seen that movie in so long. He was Van Helsing. Okay, that might be a better example then. I have not seen Van Helsing in such a long time. I remember in Prisoners, Prestige. What would be a better one? Oh, he was Peter. That's right. He was Pan and Blackbeard. He was Blackbeard and Pan. I remember him in movie 43, but that was just ridiculous. Jean Valjean is who he was in Les whatever. Huh. I don't know. What should I use in the future? Should I use Blackbeard and Peter Pan, or should I use Van Helsing? I think I might use Van Helsing. I think I'll use Van Helsing in the future. Okay, so actually here's a good one. So yeah, in this case, now Hugh Jackman's playing Van Helsing. We can right click. This is where the child parent comes in. We can right click on Hugh Jackman, and this is where we create child. And creating a child is where we go in here, and now we have Van Helsing. And now Van Helsing is a child of Hugh Jackman. And then we could go in here and we could do like, you know, custom event, and it would be kill vampire. And this would be like print string, and this would be like eat the garlic, undead, eat the garlic, you monster. There we go. Eat the garlic, you monster. There we go. So now we have a whole new child. You still have to make sure you cast, because again, you know, kill vampire is only going to work when we target the Van Helsing. So we'd have to, you know, cast to Van Helsing. And then, boom, look, now we can hook it up and we can kill a vampire. Okay, so cool. Let's see. Other people were chatting about stuff, so that's cool. Which is always helpful. I love when people just chat about chatty stuff. I think I caught all the questions. Zombie stuff, survival stuff. You know what's funny about that? I'm actually doing a video series on, not me creating one, but watching a horror survival zombie video series so I can learn some more about the animation system right now. They are everywhere right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and kill this one and save it. We've been streaming for an hour and a half. More than likely, since there are no more questions, I will probably just finish up for the day. I know if I get started right now, I'm going to end up continuing forever. You know what? No, I'm not. You know what? I lied. I'm going to quickly knock out my chat thingy right here. So which blueprint? NPC chat. So this will be our blueprint that's going to go on our screen for chat. This is going to be a, what are we going to want? A horizontal box? No. This is just going to be text, but I want it to be... Ah, well, let's just go with text, and then we'll adjust it as needed. Yeah, and this is going to be the displayed text. Make it a variable. We'll kill this stuff. Make a custom event, and we'll set the text. And this we grab our displayed text. We'll work on wrapping stuff in a second. I'm not worried about it. Set the text to the input that's going to come in. So our input is going to be new text and text. Actually, I want a string. I'd rather manipulate string internally and then adjust it in here like that, because then I can always adjust it as needed, maybe showing someone's name or something like that. Okay, so that'll work. So we need a, what do I call that? NPC chat. Is that a good way of showing that? We'll call it NPC chat for now, whatever. Here's our player. Here is our player's UI. Where's our, here we go. So there's our stats anchor, card anchor. So we need a new anchor. So we need a new border. Bloop, like that. And this will be, actually, you know what? I can delete that. Let's just duplicate an existing border. I'm going to duplicate that border. Copy, paste. This will be our NPC chat anchor. This is where we're going to anchor our NPC chat. We're going to put this one at the bottom of the screen, and we're going to go up. So let's see, X, Y is up. So there we go. So what are we going to go up? Let's go -200. No, that's probably not going to work very well. Let's go -300. Let's try that. We'll just go with that and see what happens. Okay, so that is our NPC chat anchor. So we're good there. Let's find our HUD. This is where we keep track of everything when we're talking. Well, everything that has to deal with the HUD. And this is character specific HUD. So let's see. Well, we can keep that. We can probably keep that on the screen at all times. That's not really going to be an issue. Yeah, I think we can keep that on the screen at all times, actually. I think that's what we're going to do. So we're going to create widget. And this will be our NPC. Because even if it's hidden, it's not. We're going to make sure it's not clickable, which I'll have to fix here in a little bit. But we'll make sure it's there. So we'll create our NPC widget. We will promote to a variable. And this will be our NPC chat. Yeah, NPC chat. That's all it is. And then we're going to have to add that as a child. So we're going to grab our character UI. And we're going to get the chat anchor. And then add child. And we're going to add the NPC chat. Okay, so that should add our NPC chat. So now we should have a reference to there. So now in our HUD, we're going to do a custom event. And this is just going to be a pass-through is all this is going to be. So it's going to be, let's see, it's going to be something that I lost. Why can't I name this? Thank you. Display NPC chat. And we're going to pass in a string. Oops. New chat, which is a string. There we go. So we'll grab our NPC chat and we'll set text. Oops. What did I call it? NPC chat. What did I call it? I called it set text. That was a stupid thing to call it, considering there's already a set text node. There we go. Update text. So now all we gotta do is talk to. Oh, there we go. Cool. So that'll work. Yeah, because the NPC should be able to get the, yeah, this should work. Let's see, Cliff Tonic, can you, everyone's talking about stuff, can you add your game trailer to our channel? I don't think I can or will. My channel is meant just for the educational stuff. I'd be more than happy to look at it if you want. Feel free to send it to me. You can put it in the comment section. I can look at it as well. Okay, so good there, good there. Okay, so I think we're good with that. So let's see if we can get our NPC just to display something for no reason at all. Let's see, custom event. So let's see, we're gonna have it. Update lore text. Update lore. Let's see. Display lore text. We'll go with display lore text. Is what we're gonna call it. Get player controller. So this will get the local player controller, and then get the HUD, and then cast this to the MMO HUD. Let's make sure we are remote. Oh, what's it called? Oh, not remote. Authority. That's what I meant to do. Switch as authority. Because this is only going to run on our local NPCs. This is the only time we care about this stuff. So the local NPC will talk. He'll grab the HUD, cast to MMO HUD, and then what do we call that? NPC, display NPC chat. There we go. And we'll grab our lore text. So we're going to need to update this because I forgot we have two different things. Let's see. So let's see. So not get, find. No, I don't want find. I want oh shoot! I always hate forget how to open up maps. No, I don't want the values. Dang it. Maybe I'm not going to use the friggin' map. Because I want these two things. Can I not have them? No, because technically that's a key. This isn't going to work. Crap. Maps technically aren't supposed to be used like this. Oh well, let's just switch it back. We'll work on it later. I'm not worried about it. Wait. You do a struct. I'm gonna be lazy. I'm just gonna be lazy here. You know what? I'm just gonna be super lazy here. I didn't mean to make that an array. I meant to make that a single type. Yep. I'm gonna be super lazy. This is not something I should be worried about for later. There we go. Lore text, lore duration. Then we can feed the text in like that. Both of these. Yep. And then can I type? Okay, go back in here. We need to pass along a new parameter. Chat duration, integer. There we go. We need to pass in. Let's see. This is our NPC chat widget. Do we want the widget to handle? Yeah, we're gonna have the widget handle the chat. Shedix, do you have anywhere to see your computer specs? I do not, but I can tell you them. I can probably show them to you too. Actually, I can do that. That'll probably be easier. System, here we go. So it is a 5820K. I'm currently running at 4.3 gigahertz overclocked. 64 gigs of RAM, 64-bit Windows x64. I have a, let's see, device manager. I'm running with a GTX 1080 at default clock speeds. I have a 1 terabyte SSD drive, which I screwed up and bought the wrong one, so I have it in a PCIe adapter. Monitor. I apparently don't have the right IDs in here, but I don't know, it's like a 20-something inch monitor. 1440. I think it's 27-inch 1440 monitor. I don't know. It's a monitor that stuff's on it. I have a keyboard that glows, and I have a mouse that glows. Mouse pad that glows, technically. I got a Corsair keyboard and a Corsair mouse pad. Blue Yeti microphone. I wonder if that's in here. Let's see. Nope, but a Blue Yeti microphone is what I'm using for the microphone. I think that's it. That's all the important stuff, right? I have stuffed animals on my desk. I don't think those are very important, but I have those. Those don't count. My computer case is white. I don't know if that matters. It runs faster probably because it's white. It's all slick. It glows blue. Yeah. Yes, this is show FPS. FPS of what? I mean, we have a blank map here. I could do this technically and then unlock the frames. Can I please have my X FPS? I get, I don't know, 200 and some odd frames sitting here in a default thingy doing, I don't know, default stuff. I mean, that's technically FPS, but I don't know where the fun part of that is. Oh, that's not it. I want... Can I please have stat FPS? Thank you. It would help if I did that one. Yeah. I have no issues running anything. It's as simple as that. That's why I would overkill. Epic gave me a dev grant a while ago, and I decided to just spend way more money than anyone should ever spend on a computer to make sure I have no issues. I love this machine. It runs great. It costs way more money than I ever wanted to spend, but thanks to Epic, I was able to do it. Before this, I had a semi-average computer. I had a 970, 16 gigs of RAM, 3570K processor, quad core. I had that clocked at like 4.4 gigahertz. I overclock everything because why not? But I've run. That was the old machine. I've got a fourth generation i5 laptop. I run this on. I've got a new Pentium. I've got like a Pentium J series at work. I run Unreal on. I run it on everything from the lowest to this thing. No, I don't do anything on the marketplace. Yes, Shadows. Epic gave me a grant a long time ago. I think it's almost over a year ago at this point. The computer I have at work is a pre-built Lenovo J something series Pentium. I've got 8 gigs of RAM in there, and I'm running a 730 GTX video card. I get on average 15 frames per second in a completely blank scene on low frames per second. I don't do any real work in there. I just work on blueprints because thankfully that runs decently. So I'm well aware of how slow Unreal Engine can run. I definitely do that. Okay, so let's try hooking this one back up. Yeah, the only reason I have an overkill computer is because I'd rather spend the least amount of time waiting on stuff. You can still do almost everything else even with the slower computer, which is nice. It just takes a little while longer on some things. Like compiling shaders takes forever on a slow computer. Like forever. Like literally. Well, probably not literally. Well, I don't know. I've run on this. I actually tried Unreal on an Atom. I have an Atom tablet that I've tried Unreal on, and that does not go very well at all. Thinking of making a low poly game to run on slow computers because I have an old one. I think there should be some market to that. Well, Rodrigo, the nice thing is you don't really have to guess. Go to the Steam survey, hardware and software survey. Obviously, it's not everything, but this is a great place to find out what people are running on average. I mean, you have like, here is the most popular is Windows 10 now. Most people have 8 gigs of RAM. Most people have an Intel CPU between 2.3 to 2.6. Most people have a quad core. Most people have 1 gig of video RAM. Most people have 1080 for the display, a microphone. Yeah, so I mean, this is your most people percentage right here. 50% of the people surveyed have a quad core. 36% have 8 gigs. 20% have. So this is your most popular stuff. This is a great place to go to find out, and of course, you can find out more from there. Like, here's your average for RAM. Most, your biggest chunk is people with 8 gigs of RAM. You can see that 18% of the people still have 4 gigs of RAM. That's a large chunk of people right there. You can see that right there. So, I mean, that's a big one. 4 gigs of RAM is a big one. Video RAM, like CPU speeds. Most people have this, the 2.3. Physical CPUs. Yeah, dual cores. 44% of the people still have dual cores. I mean, that's a big teller right there. Most people have older dual core CPUs. Even your newer Pentiums are quad cores now. Your i3s are still dual cores with hyperthreading. Most of your i5s are still dual cores. If they're mobile, they should be dual quad cores if they're desktop. So that's something. VRAM, I mean, this is a big teller here. Look at this. Most people still have 1 to 2 gigs of VRAM on their video cards. That means you're talking about either very old cards, or you're talking about current cards that don't have much VRAM. Because even your 960, not your 960, your 480, like your RX 480 and stuff like that, were at least 4 gigs of RAM. So we're talking stuff like 1080, 1050 Ti's and stuff like that. No, 8-shot, it depends on the generation. Like with the latest generation, all of your i3s are now dual cores with hyperthreading. The older ones didn't have hyperthreading. You can't even guarantee anymore that i7s are quad, because laptop i7s, for the most part, like your ultra mobiles, can be dual cores still, which I thought was ridiculously silly. Yeah, so, and Pentiums, your base Pentiums are quad cores. Your Atoms are quad cores. There's like no rhyme or reason for any processors nowadays. It's ridiculously silly. The only thing I'm happy about is i3s now have hyperthreading by default. That's, I think, the biggest win, to be honest, out of all this stuff. Okay, so let's just see if we can get some sort of text on our screen from our NPC, is what we're going to try to do. So, I'm going to try something here. We're going to delay 10 seconds, and then we're going to, what do we call that? Display Lord text. Now I'm curious to see if this is going to work. Okay, so let's kill our server, which is already killed, save everything, build out a project, and go back to chat. 8-core, 16-thread, that's awesome. I had the choice of going for that or the 6-core, and the price on that 8-core was so much money. I would love to have an 8-core. When you're building out stuff, when you're building out stuff, even the 6 I have right now, I can use it all up, opening new projects and compiling shaders. Yeah, I had choices, but when you're talking about 500 for a CPU or 1500 for a CPU, even though it's faster, I mean, even if you had unlimited money, there's still sensibility there. You're like, $1,000 could buy so much more stuff, like a bigger monitor. That was my thought process. Or even a better video card or anything like that. Okay, that would be me being in the wrong friggin' map. Dang it. Oh, let me kill the server. Okay, so I'm... Okay, good. So it actually added it. I forgot I left the default text block in there. So that's good. If we're lucky, it'll change the... There we go. Cool. It worked. We have our NPC actually working properly. That's what I was hoping for right there. Okay. Xeno, multiplayer game. This is our attempt at making a small vertical slice for an MMO just to learn a whole bunch of crap. Database servers, network communication on Unreal, multiplayer servers, stuff like that. So we've kind of been working on that in the middle of asking everyone else or helping everyone else. Right now I was hoping to just knock out some NPC chat, which we got working. I'm going to finish up the duration chat, the duration part of this, and then we're going to finish for the day. I'm happy that worked. That's what I cared about right there. It doesn't obviously work properly because we don't have anything triggering it properly, but it works is what counts. I mean, that was the entire goal here, to actually get something working. So, and then we need to set this to hit test invisible. So this way we never can click on the text because that's what we don't want. And then we'll set this to justified in the center, and we'll set it to... We should technically have auto wrapping turned on, but I will work on that when we're playing with stuff. We need to throw in some really long text to test that out. Okay. So kill that, kill that. Let's find our world map. And kill this and save this. So here's SpongeBob. Here's our dummy value. Who wants a Krabby Patty? There we go. And we'll put that on screen for 5 seconds. We'll go ahead and go back to our login screen so I don't forget. We'll go back to our NPC chat, and then we'll implement our code. So, and then set timer by function name. It's going to take place. I should have made this a float. I would have been smarter. Erase NPC text. Clear NPC text. We'll call it clear NPC text. Custom event clear NPC text. Like that. See, this is one case where if this was a name, that would have been so much better, but they couldn't. But that would have been nice. Set text. Can I have these two? Thank you. And we'll set it back to nothing. There we go. Can you hide that? Thank you. And then we will set a reference in case I need to invalidate this later when a new set of text comes in. So this will be a clear NPC text. Let's see, clear timer handle. Make it smaller. There we go. I don't think I'll need that now. We'll have to worry about that once we start adding in multiple text in a little bit. But for now, we just want this working. And this should work. This should work perfectly fine. It should update itself and call itself. Let's build this out for the final test. Let's see. Are you using a server which is already done? So what we are using is Unreal Engine for the actual game server. So Unreal Engine is handling the multiplayer part. And we're using a dedicated server, which is what we have to do this building out. And we are using JavaScript and a Node server to handle the communication between Unreal Engine and our database. And I've got the basics of that running. It's literally logging in and saving stuff. That's all we have right now. So really, really simple stuff. That's why this is all logging into our database server right here. And then all of these things are on our Unreal server. And right now, SpongeBob hopefully should ask us for a Krabby Patty. And then the text should disappear. And if so, we have finished for the day. Well, that was not the result I had hoped for, but it went away. Huh. So okay, so the text went away, but why was great. And I know okay, so 12 imaginary pennies for anybody who knows why this didn't work. And for everyone else who just showed up, hey middle and all that, we're going to end up leaving. But I'll give a couple more seconds if anyone can guess why this didn't work. This character right here has lore text called "Who Wants a Krabby Patty?" So this character in our world should be asking me that. However, that character printed out our default value instead. So the local version of this character printed out the default version and not the version that I edited. Now I'm 96% sure that it's because I'm a dum-dum and forgot to duplicate our values over to our local version. So let's go ahead and do that this time. And just to make sure, we're going to actually change our lore duration on our character and change this to 10 seconds. So now in theory, these values should be duplicated to our local versions. So let's kill our server, save everything, and try that again. If this doesn't work, I'm going to throw up my hands and quit for the day anyways, because it's already 12 o'clock. But I'm pretty sure that's what happened. How much more does it complicate things when you start dealing with multiplayer? Well, you just saw an example there. Even though my character shows these values, they didn't work because we're in multiplayer, because of replication. Things become a lot more complicated when you deal with data for multiplayer. Basic stuff, not much of a deal. The characters are by default replicated and network very well, so movement and stuff like that works fine. But actual data, like, hey, throw something on someone's screen, or I fired a bullet, let's see who it hits, that's when things start becoming more complicated. Because you actually have to start telling the server to do stuff, and you have to start paying attention to what's going on. Hopefully now SpongeBob asks us, oh crap, why did that crash? Okay, that was not expected. It did build out, right? Oh, I hope it built out. Okay, let's try this again. Huh, okay. That's generally the error you get when you attempt to log into a server that's not built out properly. So I guess we'll try this again. You also get random stuff like this when you're working in multiplayer, where things just don't work like they're supposed to. Have I used any other game engines besides Unreal? Yes, I've used pretty much every game engine out there. Hobby-wise, professionally, I've used Construct 2 and Unity. Hobby-wise, I've checked everything out in terms of fun and stuff like that. Oh, well, crap on a crutch. Huh. I'll tell you this much, I've never seen this before. That's kind of cool. Where's my output log? Huh. Okay, Try logging in again. Okay, so we've got some errors here. We've got our monsters are divided by 0, but these are warnings I've always had, so I'm not worried about that. Get object from net GUID mismatch. Default NPC base character. Huh. Basically, my NPC character is not loading up properly. This guy right here. Huh. Okay, let's open them up, save them out again. Okay. Save the current map. Let's try building it out again. Never seen that one before. Construct 2 is a really fun, simple 2D engine that you can really quickly iterate and prototype in. Uh, things like having a turret auto track a target are drag and drop simple. Having, if you want to be able to move a character with the if you want to be able to move a character with your arrow keys, like up, down, left, right, you literally drag in that controller. If you want them to go in 8 directions, you drag it. You tell it you want 8 directions instead of just 4. If you want something to fly across the screen, you give it the bullet effect, and you tell it how fast it goes, and it goes. It's a really nice, simple drag and drop engine with a very simple programming system built in. I've used it for a couple. Well, that was the wrong friggin' thing again. I've used it for a couple Windows Store games. Well, crap. This, huh. Game NPC. It's like my NPC character is not being built out. Unresolved archetype GUID. Default NPC base. Huh. And we do see that it says NPCs, NPC. Why is the word default in there? That's weird. Oh, well, okay. Well, we're not going to be able to, yeah, okay. I mean, I could undo the replication changes, but that seems weird that would have our issue. I think I know what's causing the issue, and I'm not happy about it. We still need these replicated no matter what. Let's just try cooking the content quickly. The net checksum mismatch means basically that the information on the server isn't matching the info in the client, which is fine. I understand that. But why is this giving me something? That's something weird. I've had some issues before with building out files properly, and we've had some packaging issues in the past. And the only thing I could think of to fix this would be to delete our intermediate and tell it to rebuild, and that would take literally 15 minutes, and I don't want to do that. Let me double check this. Okay, that might have been a temporary issue. Okay, let's try that. When we had to switch over. Okay, let's see if that fixes it. It might not have been building out the new map. The Pro Project Launcher is shared between all the projects in the engine, which is super annoying because you can actually overwrite things on accident. And I found that out one day. So like if you have 2 different projects using the project launcher and both of them want to use the first profile, it causes an issue. And that could have been, and then as you saw when we came in here originally, we ran into an issue where it tried to build the master source. Yeah, no, it's still an issue. Okay, not worried about this. Not a big deal. I'm just going to simply nuke everything and rebuild everything. This tends to happen. Unfortunately, I don't know why. I'll worry about it later. Let me finish up the questions here. I have coding experience with C++. I have coding experience with C#, JavaScript, Basic, Pascal, Delphi, blah, blah, blah. Other ancient languages don't matter. Primarily, right now, I use C# if I have to use code, and I use Blueprints if I prefer to make games. People mentioning Construct 2 and stuff like that. Construct 2 is fine for learning the basics. Using it to prepare people for the industry probably isn't the smartest. It's a good way to learn things like methods and functions and variables and events and timers and loops and things like that, because you can really quickly get stuff on the screen. But you still then need to break down the actual code and everything behind it. And you should, I mean, if you're going to learn a first language, I always like leaning towards C# because it holds your damn hand for so much stuff, but it's still a good powerful language. And that sucks if they're only going to do Construct 2. It's good start, but it's definitely not a good way to get into the, like, be released into the wild. Yeah, you love C#. Switching to Unreal feels a bit scary. Well, I don't touch C++ in Unreal. I touch blueprints only. I refuse to use C++ because I don't want to touch it. I do enough I do enough coding in in C# and stuff like that, where I just don't want to touch C++. I only use blueprints. Simple as that. But on that one, that's pretty much going to be it. That's going to wrap up today's stream. I don't know what's happening here. I'm not going to let you. I'm going to attempt to fix it. It's going to take like 20 minutes of rebuilding. No reason to do it on the stream. We streamed for about 2 hours, and do I have the server up? Whoa, hold on a second. Oh my gosh. Hold on a second. I'm going to feel super stupid if this was it. Oh, okay, well, we didn't have to rebuild it. I just had to not be an idiot. I'm glad I figured this out while we were wrapping this up. There we go. Who wants a Krabby Patty? So our replication was the issue, and it'll stay around for 10 seconds this time before it goes away, because our integer value should be replicated now. There we go. So if anyone's wondering just how stupid I was, I loaded up the dedicated server, but then I minimized it. So then the next time we attempted to build out and run the game, I couldn't rebuild the server, but I was then running the server again. So I had 2 copies of the server running, was the problem. And it kept trying to connect to the old version of the server, not the new version of the server. So that would be a user error right there. And everything does work perfectly fine. Unreal actually had no problem this time. It was all me being a dum-dum. I did not mean to close that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's stream. I didn't mean to click play on that, but apparently I did. My next stream will be on Wednesday. Wednesday, Friday. It'll be 10 o'clock Pacific. That's roughly 2 hours and 15 minutes before now. Epic's official stream is Tuesday and Thursday, the days I don't stream. Theirs will be tomorrow, so let's find out what they'll have tomorrow. And we'll get it to load up. And we'll see events. And here we go. So Epic's official live stream tomorrow is getting started with character morph targets. Ed Burgess is going to join us and talk about using morph targets with the character's head, how to export, import, and control the mesh using UE4 and Max, if you're interested in building a custom character creator for a game, or how to drive facial animation. So this is good, because morph targets are helpful for character creation for not doing just the head, but doing things like body size and part size and things like that. So yeah, a character creator could definitely use morph targets. So that's cool. So that is tomorrow's thread. It's on morph targets. Mine will be Wednesday. We'll continue working on the MMO stuff, as well as any questions people may have. We'll do our best. The stream will archive itself. It'll be available on Beam and Twitch in a little bit. It'll be available in YouTube in a couple hours. Other than that, hopefully everyone has a good rest of the day. This stream is going to idle for about 30 seconds before it disappears. And again, everyone have a good rest of their day. And in case I forgot to mention it, because I mentioned it twice, my next stream will be Wednesday, roughly 2 hours and 15 minutes before now, 10 o'clock Pacific.